I drift through the blackness, feeling a sense of peace like I've never known before. Even though the space is empty, I feel it crowded with others. So many others. Or is it one other? I sense so many different minds and thoughts melded together as one. Hello. We apologize for what has happened to you. We know that you are confused. We told you that this could be prevented. And it will be. You will not leave him to be alone. Be at peace for now, for he will come for you. Wait for him.
Amicus is the victor. All hail, Emperor Amicus.
The words sound hollow in Amicus's ears, and so does the faint roar of the crowd in Adastra City all the way across the lake. The wolf can only stare down at the human in his arms, suddenly realizing how light and fragile he really is. And the blood. So much blood that paints the front of his human that just moments ago had been so full of life. A tear drops from the tip of Amicus's nose and onto William's neck, mixing with the blood that has now stopped flowing for the deep gash. Air no longer bubbles through the red liquid either. A strange choking sound works its way out of Amicus's lips, one he's never heard himself make before. The overflowing sadness in his heart has seemingly run out to be replaced with something empty, cold, like there's nothing there anymore. Still, Amicus wills the human to live, to use those special healing abilities he seemed to possess, to breathe again. But even as Virginia moves to find Felix, Amicus knows that nothing can be done for something like this. Cato had very nearly beheaded the human, cutting through everything that was important. Cradling William's head carefully, Amicus raises the young human up to his chest, hugging him tightly, squeezing his eyes shut, and feeling the welling tears pour out over his cheeks, down his chin, and to the human's hair. It's quiet. And Amicus opens his eyes to see Nefer still sitting there in front of him, staring in shock. When the jackal meets his eyes, he quickly dips his head, lowering his ears. Amicus, I'm so sorry. The wolf raises his eyes to see a drone just over Nefer's head, hovering as its lens focused voyeuristically on him, broadcasting his grief to Adastra. This is nothing like those dramas, the tragedies of romantic death he'd seen play out on the screen so many times before. There is nothing romantic about this. As Amicus is sure his audience is finding it to be right now. This is real death. And the feeling is familiar. It's hollow, empty, suffocating. Like being pulled down into a bottomless, cold, black ocean. It's like when Mother died and Cassius had screamed over her body like a wounded animal. It's like when he heard the news Father had died, and how he'd fallen to his knees, clutching his chest and gasping for air like he'd been shot. This is worse somehow. And Amicus can't even comprehend it. It hits him harder than anything he's felt in his life. Everything is going gray, the color being sucked from his vision, from his life. Even though he's not sobbing now, the tears are flowing freely from down his cheeks. He isn't sure how he can recover from this at all. He knows he probably never will. This is his fault. He'd forced the human here. He made himself feel better by saying William had a choice in the matter, was free to do as he pleased. And that wasn't true at all. He'd taken the human's life, just as Cato had now. Amicus realizes then that he's no different from the wolves he thought himself to be above. He was more enlightened somehow, and trying to hold all sapient life as equal. He's even worse. And even though it would break his heart never to have met William, Amicus only wishes that he had never brought him here in the first place. To his death. The thought brings another wave of heart-wrenching grief to crash through his hollow chest, and for a moment he almost can't breathe. Please, William. The wolf whispers into the human's hair. His voice now only a soft whine as fresh tears blur his vision. His teachings since he was a pup begin to come to his mind. William's soul, like the soul of all sapience, is ascending to the greater intelligence, mingling with the lives of billions of others, with his father, his mother, maybe Cassius too. A place he'd also joined one day. But the human soul belonged here, in his arms, not to be mixed and consumed by the parents, not yet. That mixed singular being isn't William. It's like a beautiful mural being shattered and reconstructed into something else. William still exists. At this very moment, he exists. But it's no longer him. Amicus grits his teeth, feeling anger begin to overcome the overwhelming grief. No. 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 How dare they? This isn't fair. The parents had spoken to William, had told him what to do, had led him to this point. When the humans had told Amicus that he was worried about something terrible happening, Amicus grits his teeth, remembering how he'd brushed it off. Even though he told William that he'd believed him, that he'd have nothing to worry about if he followed their guidance. No. Amicus shakes his head, still clutching onto the human tightly. Amicus. Nefer's voice is tentative, almost fearful, like he's worried about what Amicus might do. Amicus isn't even sure of that himself as he rises to his feet, cradling the human in his one good arm, easily able to do so because of their size difference. He turns and walks quickly toward the palace, almost jogging, ignoring the various jolts of pain throughout his body. He doesn't even glance down at Cato's unmoving body as he passes by. Wolf's expression is stoic now, a strange rage bubbling just under the surface. Amicus! Nefer calls after him, but Amicus ignores the jackal, set on one thing and one thing only. The parents might have taken his parents, maybe even his brother, but they aren't going to take his human. He won't allow it. As the wolf enters the palace, he notices Alex pacing in the hallway. He stops as he sees the wolf approaching. Amicus, I heard you're now emperor and... He trails off as he sees William cradled in the wolf's arm. The blood covering in the body, flowing down a limply hanging arm to drip gently from his fingertips. Amicus brushes past the cat, eyes set straight ahead, expressionless. Nothing seems to exist outside of the wolf's tunnel vision. As soon he comes to the door he's looking for, leans forward, pressing his injured shoulder to the panel to open it, ignoring the blaze of pain that shoots through him as he does. Amicus approaches the archive, glaring at the orb as if the machinery itself is the parents. The big wolf comes to a stop in front of it, staring up at the glowing blue structure for a moment before looking down at William. The ashen color of this skin is unnerving, so different from the deep tones it once had. William is dead. Amicus knows that, but he won't accept it. The wolf presses his face close to the human's for a moment, feeling the fading warmth before kissing him gently on the top of his head. With that, Amicus leans forward, pressing them both to the sphere. Then he connects and he merges with the universe. We continue to drift through infinite space, content. Despite everything, we trust the beings around us. All of us and the others, the parents. The parents. And this was all meant to happen. No, it was hard and terrible. The worst is now over. And that thought alone is enough to keep us completely relaxed. Waves and waves of relief washing over us. And the cacophony of thoughts and emotions, though, something stands out. Though the beings meld together, one seems to become separate for a moment, solely to focus directly on us, on me. This brings me out of my trance for a bit, and I turn my attention on them. Amicus? But then as I focus more on this being, I get a different feeling. Not him, but her. It seems she wants to speak to me. She's not familiar, not someone I've spoken to before, but the intensity with which she's focusing on me. Hello? I reach out, but suddenly the amalgamation of intelligence begins to pull away, and I feel myself extracted from its mass. The feeling is bizarre. I almost miss the crowding of thoughts and feelings of being one with many. Then I feel myself again. My body beginning to materialize out of nothing. The nothingness around me slowly becomes something. For a moment I'm floating in the air. Then I'm being held by something strong and solid. The first thing I see is Amicus's face. He's looking down at me, grim and determined. Just as I focus on him, though, his expression changes. William! I shift a little, trying to focus better on my wolf. William! Suddenly, I'm surrounded by fur, getting squeezed tight against Amicus, my face pressed into his neck. Instinctively, I wrap my arms around him. Oh, gods, are you real? Tell me you're real, William! Please! He gasps the word like he's coming up for air after diving to the bottom of the lake. I'm having trouble remembering things. Why he seems so upset. But I know something bad happened. And now it's over, so I try to comfort him. I'm real. I'm here. My voice is strange, like I haven't used it in a while. First, I think I'm back in Amicus's room after I've woken up from the coma, still trying to convince him that everything's okay. Like we'd gone to sleep and just woken up and he wants to be reassured that I'm not going to disappear. Then I remember Cato came in that morning. Things fall into place like a row of giant, heavy dominoes. I suddenly sit up a bit against Amicus's chest, pushing back so I can look at him. Wait, the fight. Cato. Amicus, are you okay? I look him over, trying to check his wounds. The blood and swelling I'd seen in the amphitheater is gone, though. He's clean and well-groomed. And his arm seems fine, judging by its sturdiness underneath me. My brief look at him is ended, though, as Amicus suddenly yanks me back against his chest, sobbing against me. I've seen Amicus cry before, back in the dungeon, but not these gut-wrenching sobs that I can feel heaving through my body. It serves to shock me to my senses even more. Firmly, I push back against his chest, creating space between us so I can hold his face in my hands. He just looks back at me, crying openly. And I watch as the tears well out of his eyes and seem to disappear into the fur of his cheeks. I'm sure we both want to say a lot in this moment. What happened, what's happening now, what will happen, but at this particular moment, time and space, we're back together. It's impossible, but it's happening. So I cling to him again, and he just holds me as I press my face against his chest, listening to his hammering heart, squeezing my eyes shut. If this is eternity, then I'm completely fine with it. I'm not sure how much time passes, but as this thought crosses my mind a few times, my eyes suddenly fly open. I press back again, looking up at the wolf, holding his face again. Wait, if you're here, did you... I wondered suddenly if maybe Amicus had been seriously wounded in the fight, that he didn't make it after all. But Amicus shakes his head gently, his sobs having quieted to subdued sniffles and hiccups. No, I'm fine. I won. Kato is dead. I'm flooded with relief. He strokes my hair gently, slowly, and I wonder why he still looks so sad. But how are you here? Aren't I? I look around at the infinite space surrounding us. The stars and planets are unusually close, stunningly bright, and unimaginably vivid. The blues, the purples, and blacks are deep and monolithic, signaling the endless space that stretches beyond. Am I dead? Amicus pulls me back against him, forcing me to look away from the churning universe.
No! You're here!
Sounds more like he's convincing himself rather than me. But where is here? Amicus is quiet for a moment, and I find myself content to lean against him for a while, just wanting to be close to him. At some point, Amicus had sat down, cradled in his lap. Considering we're not just floating around in zero gravity, I have to assume there's something solid underneath us right now. Amicus sniffles again. I melded with my mind with the archive to speak to the parents. That's all I know. I think. Did I do the same then? I was holding you when I did it. My neck, the blood. I look up at him again. Amicus, am I alive? Amicus looks at me for a moment before his face screws up and tears well up again. I don't know. He whines out the words and I immediately hug him again. Hey, I'm okay, see? I'm here. Another sobbing fit starts, and I know why. And now I know why. I must have died, and now, for whatever reason, the parents have let us reunite somehow. And I know that Amicus must be wondering the same thing that I am. How long is this going to last? Try to think of what to say in case this is our last moment together, in case I am going to be absorbed again. But my mind comes up short in the weirdest of ways, only able to think of things that don't matter. So I settle on what had just happened. You're Emperor now, Amicus. Amicus nods against me, not trusting his voice at the moment, apparently. I'm so happy for you. Now he shakes his head, smearing tears against my cheek. I hate seeing him like this. I hate that this might be the last way that I'll see him. Please, don't cry. Let's just be together right now. I sit up straight and pull his head against my chest for once, cradling his massive form against me, caressing his ears and neck. I'm okay, I promise you. I went somewhere when I died. The word is so strange to say. It was really nice. Full of people. I wasn't alone. It was peaceful. Amicus takes a deep, shuddering breath, finally pulling back from my hug. That's wonderful, William. I'm sorry because I'm not letting you go back there. Amicus suddenly looks resolute as he smirks through the tears. You're coming back with me. His voice breaks several times and I can tell he really means it. He really is certain that he's going to drag me back from the dimensions of the dead. I don't know what to say. I don't know much about the parents or the afterlife, but Amicus must, so I trust him. I smile up at him. Okay. He smiles back at me and then very suddenly kisses me. It's rough and wet. He kind of misses my lips, but I kiss back, holding him tightly. Once he finally draws back, I'm happy to see my wolf back to his usual confident self, even if he has to keep sniffling with his runny nose. I look around at the swirling cosmos again. Can you just get us out? Amicus frowns, looking around himself. This is actually my first time doing this, so I'm not sure. Amicus looks behind us, then up and down, and clears his throat. Calm? Calm, are you there? Silence. You can tell that Amicus is already out of ideas. The parents are doing this, right? I think so. Though I've never spoken to them, you actually have more experience with that. Amicus grins at me, then looks back up. Maybe if we talk back. I give Amicus a strange look, and just as I'm about to point out the absurdity of... walk back. Did he say walk back? Yeah, walk back. Of walking back to Adastra through infinite space, a booming presence makes itself known. I suppose you're finished. Amicus and I both jump, as though, and the wolf leaps to his feet, keeping me held in his arms. Who's there? Amicus shouts into the void, snarling. It's okay, Amicus, it's just the monitor. I say that like he's an old friend of mine. This my buddy. Mighty buddy Mon. Amicus then lowers a guard, however, and continues to growl into space. The monitor expresses his amusement in a silent way of his. I can understand why Amicus isn't letting his guard down. It's evident in the way that he's holding me, clutching me tightly to his chest. He's afraid I'm going to be taken back from him. I am too. If you are, then I'll open a channel of communication now. Amicus raises an eyebrow. What the hell are you talking about? You wish to speak to the parents, correct? They wish to speak directly with you. At least as directly as possible. There's a pause, and I see the gears turning in Amicus's head as his ears flick. Yes. Then it is done. The monitor's presence vanishes, and suddenly there's another one. Not one, but many. Similar to what I had felt earlier. This is still different. Instead of melding together, these entities are distinct and separate from each other. But they're so similar that they could be copies of a single person. Their intentions feel disturbingly uniform, like they're all on the exact same path. Unlike the monitor, who at least felt to be on a similar level as any other sapient, these entities feel alien. Which is a strange thing to feel after everything I've been through, but these things are so different. So different. Whoa, look at us. Look at us in the cosmos. Well, show yourself. Amicus barks at the emptiness, somehow remaining brave in the face of all these titanic presences. You cannot see us. What? It said William. His mouth moves on its own, mind suddenly becoming empty, seeming to blend with the space around them. Amicus looks down at the human in confusion. What? He stares back. We cannot speak directly to you. Oh, they're speaking through us. William? But we have other methods. Amicus's face morphs from confusion to horror. Gods! William! He gives the human a little shake. Hey! He can hear you. He is simply occupied at the moment. Amicus bares his teeth and he begins to shake. He's not sure if it's from anger or fear. Likely both.
If you don't...
There's no need to threaten. All is as it should be. Amicus is left to stand there, staring open-mouthed at his lover. Something ominous and dark churns in his gut. This isn't how he'd envisioned any of this at all.
These are the parents? What the hell are you?
We are your guide, your benevolent leader, your parent. It's weird saying all these things in my normal voice. It just doesn't seem right. Amicus rubs a paw over the human's forehead gently, looking into those blank, staring eyes.
Leave him be. Please.
He is not being harmed. He shall return to a normal state after the channeling is complete.
How?
Simply put, we are manipulating his behavior through the use of gravity. Amicus shakes his head, clearly not wanting this at all. But the complete powerlessness that he feels right now, it's overwhelming. The speech he'd been planning for this moment, his intention to tear apart the careless arrogance of the parents, it just dissipates. Seeing William just taken by them like this, it's enough to completely cow any courage he once had. And as he stares into the cold eyes of the human, he begins to wonder if this is a nightmare. For a brief moment, Amicus wonders if any of this is real, what reality even is right now. That is not for you to wonder, Amicus. All that matters is that you are the one true Emperor.
What do you want?
Amicus stares down at the human, feeling repulsed by what's happening. For the work of Drusus to continue. For Adastra to achieve... Even the parents can't get their fucking lines right. Jesus Christ. For the work of Drusus to continue. For Adastra to achieve its full potential at last. For the Galaxius to ascend. Amicus shakes his head, trying not to focus on the robotic tone of William's voice, of the strange way his jaw moves, forced to speak in the woven tongue.
I intend to do so, but please let the human go and heal him, please. He didn't ask for any of this.
The human is also involved, Amicus.
But I involved him.
It was meant to be.
What?
Amicus isn't sure if it's his own mind or the mind of another that brings back the memory of when he'd opened the archives, how Earth had been near the top of the list of profiled planets. How it made no sense that an uncontacted world would be on that list at all. But now it does make sense. At the same time, even less sense. Amicus shakes his head, still reeling at the situation he's in, feeling that he's teetering on the edge of madness. Steady. There are many things you do not understand. Things that you will never understand. And that is fine. Not all things are meant to be understood by all sapients. But you, at least, understand that the humans are not uncontacted, are they? Amicus says nothing, knowing that his mind is being read. Somehow, Wolven culture is there. So is Camian culture, Indo culture, all sibling cultures. The parents go silent, and Amicus is left to stare at the puppet his lover had been turned into. Amicus grits his teeth. Why? Because they were an experimental microcosm, now a successful one, and it's time for them to be integrated into the Galaxius. Another moment of silence. And you want me to help do this? No, your mission is to help unite the siblings. The first step is Camia. It was already my intention. That is questionable. The situation is perilous. Camia is furious after what has happened. You need more guidance. Thus why you are here. Amicus snarls. I'm here for him! Amicus nods at William as the sapient creature being used as a mouthpiece. You are here for the Galaxius, and as the Emperor, you now have the onus to know all this information, As your father knew, as his father knew, and so on. Amicus grits his teeth again, trying to focus on what's being told to him despite being completely disturbed by what's happening to William. If you wanted galactic integration, then why have we been competing with each other? This was assumed by the siblings themselves. Competition was never the goal. Then why not tell us that? You're supposed to be our guide. The process is slow and careful. Interference is a last resort. This very communication is a last resort as the siblings and children stray further and further from the path every day. Not just the wolves. It's taken 20,000 years to reach this point, and that time cannot be wasted. Then why are you only telling me this and not all the sapients in the Galaxias? Amicus glares at the face of the human again, stroking his face gently, hating the blank stare he's receiving. As we stated, minimal interference will result in the best outcome. Only select figures are being informed at this stage. A galaxy is developed independent of interference will better serve the greater cause as a whole. The greater cause. The stars and planets shift around them, zooming forward, and for a moment Amicus feels like he might be sick. Something dark looms the edge of the universe, growing slowly, leeching the parts that it touches. The other approaches, and it must be confronted. At this point, Amicus feels unease pierce through the fog of confusion and anger. What other? Are we preparing for war against something? We must prepare for an event many millennia from now. This is one step of many. Amicus lets out a low growl of frustration, the vagueness of this entire situation making his head ache. But what does this have to do with William? Amicus shifts his head on the human, just wanting him to come back to consciousness. He must play a role, and you must make a decision, Amicus. No! What? No! Are you fucking kidding me? Are you shitting me? Are you fucking with me? Are you slap bang in the middle of downtown Chicago kidding me? After all of that? Where the fuck do we go from here? What in the holy shit? Yeah, no shit the writing is done by Howley. I'm not fucking surprised by that shit. I feel like they don't usually do the credits on the to be continued screen, or maybe I usually just don't see them. Either way, that wasn't the end, was it? Yeah, that's just the to be continued. Okay. But does it usually say that? Does it usually give credits? Was that the end? That's not the end. That can't be the end. That would be like, I know the endings in Echo tend to be open-ended as fuck and not really conclusive in the slightest, but like that would, if that was the end, that would be just the ultimate what the fuck? Okay. So, we're dead, but not, but maybe, but kind of, but the parents and something in the other, and huh? I have no fucking clue what's going on anymore. I am completely fucking flat. I'm not even gonna bother spending any time at Speculation Station. I'm leaving all of that shit to you guys. Tell me what you think the fuck is happening, because I'm completely fucking lost here. Let me know in the comments. I know some people, especially on the Flynn ending, were leaving long-ass fucking great analyses describing what they think's going on. I want to read some of that shit. What in the crap is going on? Let me know what you think in the comments, because I am fucked. I am straight fucking water right now. I don't know what the shit. But until hopefully the next update of this, I am Deckerlink. You're not, and I'm gonna fucking go do laundry, because at least that makes sense. Ah!